Well, hey, you guys, a recent survey found that on average, Americans need to make $105,000 per year in order to be happy. And I'll be honest, I was a little bit shocked. I was like, all right, okay. One thing I love about my job is that I get to talk to people each week on the Ramsey show who are making progress financially. And there's not a lot of them that are earning six figures, but this study might be onto something because the question is, can money really buy happiness? So today, let's take a look at what it costs to live happily in the US and beyond. And at the end of this episode, I'll be responding to a list of things that people claim actually buy them happiness. So I'll have you stick around and see if you agree. All right, first and foremost, can you guess which country has the highest salary threshold on earth? AKA, which country requires the most amount of money in order to be happy? Well, my mind immediately went to America, honestly, but it's actually Iran. On average, Iranian people claim that they need to earn $239,700 in order to live happily. That's almost $250,000 a year. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, the lowest salary threshold was just $8,658 in Sierra Leone. So clearly, depending on where you're located, the resources, the cultural norms that you're in, there's very obvious reasons for this. So if you are a Vol fan, you're gonna love this next stat, because according to this survey, Knoxville, Tennessee is the U.S. city with the lowest salary expectations in terms of happiness. That is where Winston is from. Oh my gosh. So people in Knoxville say that they need to make $88,000 to live happily. And that's still, pretty high by some comparisons. But you know what? The Vols, I lived there, you guys, all through college. And I moved after graduation. 4 years of Rachel. Maybe that's why I'm just so content, It's just the old Knoxville rubbing off on me. I'm just kidding. But listen, there is no one's surprise that the U.S. city with the highest cost of happiness happens to be in California. And apparently in Santa Barbara, residents need to make almost $163,000 a year to feel fulfilled. And honestly, that's not as high as I probably would have guessed, because I feel like Southern California, it's bougie and it's very expensive. But now let's put some of those numbers to the test and talk about the four walls and the expenses that everyone needs to have to be able to maintain life. So if you're not familiar with the four walls, this is what they are: food, shelter, utilities, and transportation. These are things you have to have. So here's what that looks like. The average salary in Knoxville is $50,000, so almost $100,000 lower than the national average. The average home price is $320,000. The median housing cost per month is $975. In Santa Barbara, on the other end of the spectrum, obviously much higher. Typical home costs around $1.5 million, which is 351% more expensive than the national average and 108% more expensive than the average California home, which costs around $733,000. So renting a two-bedroom unit in Santa Barbara costs you about $3,280 per month. Now, let's just pretend this person has a roommate. You cut that in half, and that's basically what some of my Nashville friends are paying for rent these days. All right, enough with all the numbers. Let's get to the real question. Can money buy happiness? Like we already discussed, the four walls, there are certain things that humans need to have in order to feel comfortable, to feel safe, to feel provided for. And being able to afford these necessary things definitely plays a part in regulating your emotions and things like happiness. But the other side of the spectrum is, again, where you always just want more, need more, buy more, and you just keep at it. And no matter how much money you have, emotions are always temporary, and happiness, it doesn't stay possible all the time. So according to science, there comes a point where making more money literally cannot make you any happier. So with that in mind, let's talk about what needs to be true for you financially in order to thrive in any part of the world, making any level of income. So when it comes to taking control of your money, of course, I love the baby steps where you're able to save up an emergency fund, pay off debt, have a fully funded emergency fund, start funding retirement, kids' college, paying your house off early, building wealth, and being generous. Like all of that gets you in control. Even a budget month to month where you're tracking your spending, you're being very intentional with where your income's going. That is so key, okay? So that is part, I think, of that foundation of getting you to a place where you feel in control. All right, now let's have a little bit of fun. We pulled some people on social and asked them to share small expenses that genuinely bring them joy and are always worth the money. So I'll respond to a few of these. And if you have one in mind that I don't cover, drop the answer in the comments because we want to hear. All right, here's what people said. Name brand toothpaste, Sonic Diet Cokes, Laneige lip balm, which I have that. It's like a lip mask. It is fantastic. Getting my hair blown out once a week, and I would choose this over manicures and pedicures. If it's in the budget, it makes my life easier. Spotify Premium. This was the #1 answer submitted, which I think is so fascinating. High quality ink pens. Okay, I get that. There's something about a good pen. Friday afternoon gas station visits with the kids. They each have $5 to spend, and it brings them so much joy. That's fun. Bougie coffee creamer. Parchment paper pre-cut sheets. Okay. Volcano candles. And shelled pistachios. Buy back your time. So good. Okay, like I always say, money is a tool. Money just makes you more of what you already are. Money is there to create a life that you love. So, can money buy you things in your life that makes it easier or temporary joy, but that doesn't necessarily fulfill you long-term when it comes to your emotions or your relationships or your spirituality? I would agree with all of that. Plus, if you're consistently using money as a Band-Aid, then you miss all of the character transformation that happens when you build wealth the right way. So if the phrase living paycheck to paycheck hits home for you right now, I really would encourage you to check out Every Dollar. This is where you can set up a monthly budget and really get in control of your money. And it's really the best first step to take to have financial peace, which is always better than just temporary happiness, right? You can buy something real quick and it'll be great. But this long-term sustaining motion with your money, you have to be in control, you guys. And that's where you have to put some good habits in place, like following the baby steps, doing a monthly budget. All of this will give you that foundation that those little fun perks here or there are great, but won't sustain you long term. So I want this to be a marathon for you with your money and not a sprint. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love.